So, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And I love your music. I think you sound like Lil Wayne and Travis Scott combined. I like genuinely, I
Thank you.
cannot get over when I heard it. I was like, who is this? Where has
I
he been all my
appreciate
life? Yeah.
it.
So, what's your name and where are you from?
My government name is Latier Valentine, and I'm from Westchester, New York. I'm from Ossining, New York. That's a little upstate, probably like 15, 20 minutes away from Yonkers. And yeah, I'm just big into songwriting and music production.
Nice. So, what got you into music in the first place?
I would definitely have to say my family. My cousins, I looked at them as brothers growing up. I was always around them. They were always into music. They were into the church choir. They were in the band. They were just very active into music, and I was always around them. And I just felt like that probably rubbed off on me the best way.
Very cool. So, what would you say sets you apart from other hip hop artists?
What sets me apart, honestly, I would have to say is the fact that I do music for the love and for the entertainment. A lot of artists, I don't know if they really do music because it's their lifestyle or if that's just the story that they portray to say, but I do music because I love it and I love to entertain. So that's really the biggest difference for me. So if you hear some crazy nonsense, just know it's entertainment. It's not actual my life. It might be somebody else's life, but it's definitely not my life. So I say that's like one of the biggest things that separate me from a lot of artists.
Okay, cool. I saw that you have a whole studio in your house or apartment. You mix and master your own songs.
Currently, I do and I don't. I go to different studios at times, but for the most part, I do reference most of my tracks here. And then some of the tracks I'll send out, or I'll reference tracks for other artists, and I start them here. And then I'll send them to them, and then they'll re record the whole song.
So, do you live with any family, friends? Do you have a
Nope,
wife?
just me and my girl.
Oh, nice. Do you have
Yeah,
kids or is it just you guys?
just us.
Okay, cool, cool. I was gonna say, I feel like you look at the media and you see a lot of hip hop artists are, I wouldn't say obnoxious is the right word, but they're very dazzle and bling and kind of in your face, and you seem very to yourself and very quiet. Do you have another persona when it comes to you performing?
Yeah, like I said, I do music for the entertainment and for the love. So at times I will be very flashy and very noticeable depending on the scenery that I have to be in or what the vibe is. But that's kind of like how I am. I just like nice stuff. So I normally have a lot of nice stuff. So it will just look a certain type of way, but most of the stuff is old because I already had it for a while. Yeah, I try not to be too flashy or go overboard because I'm not like filthy rich or nothing like that. Like I'm still a starving artist. So a lot of stuff that you see me with, I have good plugs that, hook the brother up.
So Yonkers, so you're upstate New York. Why are you not closer to the city?
I don't know. That's a good question. That's something that I've been thinking about for a while. I mean, like I said, I'm broke. I'm not a starter. I'm like a starter artist. So it's like very expensive in the city. I mean, it's somewhat expensive in Westchester too, but the city it's kind of really expensive, especially for like something small.
Right. Right. So is music your only job?
Yes, currently.
Okay, got it. How did you make that transition? I don't know if you transition if you just like got out of high school or college or any schooling and you're like, I'm gonna do music, or did you transition from a professional job?
I kind of been doing music since I was in school and working. That's how I got most of my studio equipment. So I kind of made my decision from just knowing myself and what I wanted to do out of my life. So I wouldn't mind, or if I have to work for somebody to get certain stuff done musically, then yeah, I'll go out there and I'll apply myself to get a job. But the goal is to own my own and open up my own music company. So that's what I'm working towards. I actually just recently got the paperwork rights to go through to trademark my name. I got the copyrights and the ownerships of my masters. Well, I had that for a few months now, but yeah, I'm trying to open up a business service to teach independent artists all of the stuff about that so they can know like the proper way of, just having things set up before any type of deals even come into place. Because the more you have stuff set up, you might not need certain deals, or you can make more type of partnerships instead of deals that will be more benefit in you in the long run. So Yeah, I would say the transition was from like really from like high school because I knew back then like I wasn't gonna be able to cut out to work for somebody for the rest of my life.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And I think that's really awesome that you remain true to yourself and your passions, even though you understand that it is really hard to,
Of
get your feet on
course.
the road. It's actually a great segue because since we are a marketing company, of course, I have a few questions. And I think, I'm new to the music industry and to independent artists. And I give you all so much credit for the hard work that you put in to marketing yourself. And I looked at your Instagram, I've looked at articles, and you've put in a lot of hard work, and I commend you for it. Seriously, you're doing such a great job. Like I looked back at our DMs, and you like sent me like a link to all the articles. I was like, this man's put in work, like so much work. I was gonna ask, how did you market yourself and your music from the get go?
I learned all of that, I would say like 2 years ago. It was a good friend of mine. His name is YQ. He's also an artist and an engineer. He lives in the next town over from me. He lives in Peekskill. He was doing his thing for like a long time. And I had just came out of jail and I had already had my mind set up that, I'm gonna go like super hard with this music shit. Cause like I'm like at that time I just felt like I was so behind everybody else. I didn't even know how to get my music on like Spotify at that time. This is like 2019. So I learned how to get it on Spotify and all of that. This is when I first learned to trust like a distro kid and a TuneCore and stuff like that. Cause I heard about those things, but I didn't trust them. So this year, 2019 was the year that I learned to trust those type of businesses and stuff. And if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't know half of the stuff that I do know about marketing or how to even approach marketing. Because he had a post on his IG and he was saying he's doing features for like $80, $100 or something like that. And like he's a verified artist. He lives in the next town over. I know him. He's dope. So I was like, fuck it, let me go ahead and invest this little $80, $100 and see where it could take me. And it took me here. Like we just built and he just schooled me to so much like, bro, it's not about just recording your music and mixing your music and being dope with your music or even have a different sound. That's not what the world is looking for. That's not what the labels is looking for. Like that's not gonna get you noticed. What's gonna get you noticed is being pure and contacting all of these blogs, contacting all of these playlists. You have to really network. And that's when it like clicked on to me like, this is really a music business and not just like a music game. And ever since then, I just been following everything that he told me from those days.
That's
So
amazing.
shout out to YQ. Definitely shout out to my boy YQ because yeah, 2019, he showed me what he was doing back in like 2012, 2014. And he was like, not all of these methods work still because, marketing in the game changes so consistently, but some of them do work. And if you apply them and you're just consistent with them and like you're genuine, you definitely get far and far and far and far. And like that's definitely the key that I've been following.
That's really great advice.
It was like one of the best advice somebody ever gave me in this music game.
That's amazing. What challenges have you faced when marketing your music?
Still I would say trust. It's still like that spooky factor of wonder if this doesn't pan out the right way. Cause it's like it's different when you're with a label and you have like a certain marketing team or a management team with you, because then like the responsibility is 50-50. You do your end and they do their end. As long as you do your end 10 times fold, it makes their end easier to do. So it shouldn't be that much hard for a good outcome. Now, when you don't have like a strong team like that and you have to find people to work with on certain projects or just find a team to build, it's just very hard. And it's even difficult when you don't have a budget. So when you do have a budget, it kind of makes it a little bit more harder because now you have a budget and you have to kind of like proportion it the correct way. It sounds crazy, but things could be easier without a budget than it is with the budget for all independent artists out there that's ever wondering. The less money you might have to pay, you might be able to get by with than when you do have a budget, because then you're going to have to pay so many different people. It might become a hassle.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. If you don't mind me asking, what did you go to jail for?
I went to jail for violation of probation. I
Oh,
couldn't stop smoking weed.
okay.
This is like
Oh,
before the weed thing was the way it is now. So
totally. Totally. Yeah, I heard.
unfortunately,
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it wasn't that bad. I mean, it was bad that I had to go away, but I learned a lot. I worked a lot on myself. I got a food administration certification while I was in there because prior to going to jail, I was working in food services most of my life. So, I mean, it did a lot good than it did bad.
Yeah, I've talked to a few people and they've said that like jail was almost the best thing that could happen to them because they needed,
That time.
yeah,
Like they needed that time to sit down and like really notice not only the flaws in themselves, but the flaws that's around them. Because most
100%.
of the time you don't notice the flaws around you because it's so consistently around you. So when you have that separation, you get a chance to really see things that you really value out of life that you miss because when you're in jail, you can't really do the little simple things like walk to the store and get a cup of coffee. Like little stuff like that. If you can't really remember what that feels like when you're gone. And I was only gone for like a year. So if the people that have been gone for like 5 years, 6 years, if you can't remember like little stuff like that, you really need to get your priorities in order and find out what you value most of life.
Yeah,
I know what I value most out of life. So that's why that experience was like a good and last experience that I needed.
yeah, good for you. I'm glad you came out the other end stronger and more clear-headed, especially if you want to, foster the relationship with your girlfriend or get your music going. It's, it takes a lot of work, I'm sure. I
It
don't know if you
takes a
were.
lot of work.
Oh yeah. When you were in jail, were you still focusing on, well, I mean, you're focusing on yourself, but like, did you make music your priority after jail, prior to jail, or like even before you went to
Oh
jail?
no, yeah. Even when I was in jail, I was connecting with the artists in there. It wasn't like, a crazy, crazy bad experience. It was just, a wake-up call, a life wake-up call, more or less, to say, either you're gonna have these options over and over, or you could make an option. And when you make an option, you can make a different option each time. But if you go this route, it's always gonna be the same option 10 times out of 10. And that's when I was like, well, even before I went to jail, I was still gonna figure out how to get my music to pop. But just sitting in that cell, listening to all of the new artists that was coming out, when I was like, damn, this was supposed to be me. This was supposed to be me. Like, it's like there's nothing I could really do. I can't say nothing. I can't call nobody and be like, yo, like, how are they on the radio and how is this? I'm like, they're gonna be like, well, bro, we can't have a free you campaign. Nobody even knows you. So
Right.
it was like at that point, that's when I was like, all right, I can't sit here crying that nobody knows me because it's my fault that nobody knows me. Let me get out there and make sure that they know me this time.
There you go. That's really awesome. I love hearing that you got that motivation to be like, wow, that could have been me right now, but look what I'm doing. That's so funny that you were connecting with other artists. Were you still making music while you were in jail?
Unfortunately, no, Westchester didn't have that luxury, even though they probably could afford it, but we definitely don't have that luxury. But I mean, we were writing together. Like I was just writing to myself, and then I would spit it to certain people in there and stuff like that. But it was like a lot of just music conversation talks because I was already doing certain things well in music prior to getting locked up. All of the press that I have now is probably like, I would say like almost a year and a half because I probably would have did all of that during that time that I was locked up. I would have learned it and I would have did it then. When I went to jail, like in my town in the city of Westchester, a lot of people already heard and knew of me from just being locally doing music so much. So when I was in there and I was saying that I did music and certain people had people on the outside and they will look up my name or look up my Instagram. And that's when I said, I got to really start getting my name out there where people could like Google me and all of this stuff. And that's when I said, I'm glad that I ran into YQ because it was just like fate. I got out of jail and all of the plans that I had while I was in jail, I executed them like right then and there. Like I learned how to get all my music on Spotify and Apple. I learned how to do a little marketing. I learned how to do press. And then it's like, yeah, this is where I needed to be at.
That just makes me so happy to see you flourish and get and have all your plans actualize. That's really amazing. And I'm really proud of you. And I think that's
Thank
fantastic.
you.
Yeah. That actually brings up an interesting point of marketing yourself. You said, locally. How is marketing yourself in person? Because now you have the aspect of social media. What is your advice to people who want to market themselves in person when it comes to gigs or just busking on the street? Have you done any of that?
I would just say don't be afraid to talk. Social media has people feeling like, that's your business card, but, actually have a real business card and, walk around the city and just pass out your card, or, go to certain local bars or restaurants and just listen to the music that they play in there, and do that for like a week, and then go back there and then, introduce yourself to one of the managers and tell them like you do music, and see if you could either get your music played or if you could do a show there. I would say probably go the route with doing a show there, because if you have a nice following and you have people that have come out, venues is always looking for stuff like that, because it's more exposure and more money towards them as well. So don't be scared to actually physically talk to people. It's never a bad idea. That's how a lot of connections still get made right now in music. People do feel like, going viral is, the number one ticket, but there's a lot of things that go behind the scenes of going viral that a lot of people don't know. So I would still say yes. Definitely word of mouth is always good. So if you have some type of talent, don't be holding it in. Always talk about what you do. People might say, oh, you boost too much, but you can never boost enough if nobody doesn't know you in the next state or the next town over. So you're not boosting enough. You're not boosting enough. If only 10 people know you and there's 20 billion people in the world, can't nobody tell you you're boosting too much.
Well said. You can never market yourself enough. What platforms have you found the most success when marketing your music? Social media platforms, I should say.
For me, I would definitely say Instagram, but for a lot of other people, I would say between like Instagram, Clubhouse, and Twitter. Like Twitter is like a fucking beast. Out of all of the apps, people still sleep on Twitter, but Twitter is a beast. And surprisingly, Reddit is a beast too. I'm not on Reddit, but Reddit is a beast. So if you want to get your name out there, I would say Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Reddit.
I know I saw you had 40,000 followers and fantastic engagement and good music. I was like, okay, so the guy has everything he needs basically. How did you start to build your Instagram platform?
I built my platform from actually doing a lot of ads on Instagram. So I did a lot of ads at one point, and it's crazy because I can't even do ads no more now. So it's like, it's kind of hard, but I did a lot of ads on Instagram. I did a few ads on YouTube, and I was just posting a lot of different content at one point. And then I will also get people to repost. And this is when like those type of things were actually good on the algorithm. So it would kind of help a lot. And I would try to get the right people to repost. So I do know a few blue check people personally. So I would try to get them to either repost or to try to get them to comment first. That kind of worked a little bit. And I also would comment and back on people's stuff. I noticed that worked a lot too, like commenting back and then reposting other people's stuff. Reposting other people's stuff is like the number one thing that I say that still works to get you engagement. But it has to be like a repost. It can't like, it has to be a repost. And if you have to like screenshot it, if you have to screenshot it, make sure you tag the person that you got the post from. Because then chances are they're gonna repost it and it's gonna pick up the algorithm where they got it from. A lot of people use, I'm guessing, like that repost app thing for Instagram. I don't use that, but if you use that, I guess that might work a lot better than just screenshotting it. But it's something with the algorithm, like when you repost stuff, it boosts your thing like crazy, because I guess it just got a lot of views and a lot of numbers already. So now once it just hits a certain amount of views from your page, it puts your page into that category.
Oh my God, you taught me something. That's so
Like if you
crazy.
repost something with like, let's say you find a post from like Fox News or something and that got like 1 billion or something views on it, and then you repost it, and like, let's say your repost either on your stories got, because I'm big on my stories, let's say that got like 25 or 50 views, and like depending on who viewed that, that's going to make your page algorithm and story views algorithm go crazy on Instagram, where they're just going to boost it and show it to certain people more. So now like they'll see that little ring around your name, and like your picture will move up closer on the top of their IG. Because like, you ever wonder like, why do I always see these people, lives, and why do I always see their story posts first, so circled, instead of all of these other like 50 billion people that I'm following? It's because of certain things like that pushes their stories up and everybody else is bad. Yeah, marketing is crazy.
Dang, holy mother of God. I need to do that. That's awesome. Oh my gosh.
This is
Wow.
why, like, that's why repost is big. That's why Instagram has a repost app.
Do you have any other tips and tricks for other platforms? Do you go on Twitter a lot, or is it mostly just Instagram?
Mostly Instagram now. I'm trying to learn how to, navigate everything to another platform and another platform. It just takes so much time, to be honest with you. And it's like, I'm not even a fan of these platforms that much. So it's like, do I want to be social media, or do I like really want to focus on music? So I'm just gonna focus on getting my Spotify and SoundCloud good, and then I'm gonna come back to Instagram and Twitter, and then use the methods for that.
Okay, that makes sense. Why have you not signed with a label?
I mean, well, I only had like 2 offers, and they were like distribution deals, and I didn't really like the deals. But other than that, independency is working pretty well right now. So until I see anything really great with signing a deal and something like terribly wrong with independency, I mean, I'm more looking towards like a partnership than just a regular deal, because like I do a lot and I know a lot. I know I'm gonna learn more any avenue I go. So I just don't want whatever deal that comes along feel like they're putting too much in and not gonna get enough back, because you're definitely gonna get more back than what you're putting in. So I'm definitely looking for any partnerships out there.
Very cool. So I feel like you've already touched upon this, but I'll reiterate it. What advice do you have for other independent artists who are trying to make a name for themselves?
The biggest thing I could say is know yourself and be genuine. You definitely got to know yourself if you're going to be an independent artist, because there's going to be a lot of things thrown at you. And if you're not prepared for it, you'll fall for anything. So just really know yourself. Know that this is something that you want to do, Like, this job is not for everybody. It's just like, it's a normal job, just like a garbage truck guy is, just like a teacher is. And the biggest thing that's different is like you're paying to do this stuff prior to you actually making it big. So all of the artists that I come across that I work with independently and up and coming, I tell them like, yo, bro, honestly, you can go out there and have a great career. They'll pay you to come to work every day. Some jobs give you a car. Some jobs pay you on vacation. They give you health benefits. They make sure your family good. None of that stuff comes with doing any of this music shit unless you work inside the office. You don't get no 401k. You don't get no health benefits. There's no retirement plan. Like, all of that stuff you have to build yourself or negotiate in your contract. And that's like a number one thing a lot of artists don't know. Maybe you could tell the label something different when they give you a contract, like, yo, instead of giving me this $500,000 advance, maybe you should give me the $250,000 advance, and then the other, $250 that you was gonna give it, put that into like a life insurance type of thing for me and my family. But as the artist, y'all don't think to say that, and the record company doesn't offer it to you like that. So just be prepared of what you're giving up to try to get, because you're giving up a lot to try to do one thing. And it's like, you could be a celebrity having a regular job. You don't have to be an artist and give up so much to be a celebrity.
Well said, and extremely true. It's not for everyone. I think a lot of people expect instant success, and all because they want to do things, they're expected to be handed everything on a silver platter, and that's just 100% not the case. So you have a new song called VVS. Can you explain how you came to make that song? What's it about, what it stands for, and where we can find it?
VVS is actually out now on all platforms. The song basically, it's like a chill, relaxed, melodic vibe. This is one of the songs where you can put like, some of your finest gear on, your high fashion, you can smoke your top-notch weed, relax with a real pretty girl and just have a good time. This is one of those type of songs. The concept of VVS came from, I smoke a lot. Like, I smoke good weed. So I'm grade A stuff, top of the line. And all of my weed got VVS diamonds on it. Like, you could see the crystals blinging off the weed buds. It just looks amazing. And then when like you smoke it, you just feel like this elite excellency. VVS is like the top clarity of diamonds. It's the number one pick if you have to get any type of diamonds, if you can afford it. And being that my weed has diamonds on it and it's not cheap to use the weed that I got, I was like, let me go with the theme of VVS. So that's really how that kind of got birthed.
Okay, super cool. And you also have two new songs coming out. One's called Waste, one's called Cherry, and they're going to be on SoundCloud. First, why did you choose to release them on SoundCloud instead of Spotify?
Before I want to put something on SoundCloud, I think of the crowd of the people that listen to music on SoundCloud opposed to the audience on Spotify and Apple. Not saying that there's not a mixture of people that do listen to SoundCloud and Apple, but SoundCloud definitely has its own lane and its own wave of music that typically sticks to SoundCloud. They don't really branch out too far to find new music and a new sound. So it's like if I had a certain type of song or a new song on a platform, my SoundCloud fans probably wouldn't even really care. Honestly, for me, I always was using SoundCloud first because it was free and it was like a good method for me to realize what type of music my fans actually like the most before I was able to put my music on Spotify and Apple, because I didn't know how to do the TuneCore and the DistroKid thing. So I always use SoundCloud as a mechanism to see what gravitates to people. So now I put certain songs on SoundCloud and I'd be like, all right, if this gets a certain amount of views or a certain amount of likes in a certain amount of time or repost, then I know if I do a similar type of style song like this for Apple or Spotify, it should do pretty well because, you know, the SoundCloud people like it. And if they kind of like it, then I could do like, you know, the whole press thing. I'm thinking about doing more press coming up for my SoundCloud because I think it should get more press looked at, because I feel like a lot of artists don't really put out press for music that they drop on SoundCloud. It is a tough battle to figure out what songs I want to put on SoundCloud versus Spotify.
That makes sense. I've always been confused as to why some people stick to SoundCloud, some people stick to Spotify.
I know SoundCloud now offers distribution. So if you do come across a free beat and, you know, you got a good relationship with the producer or the beat maker, you know, maybe y'all can negotiate something where you could still put it on SoundCloud for profit, and yeah, do the splits on the streaming off the song off of SoundCloud. So that's the number one reason I think a lot of people still teeter-totter with SoundCloud versus Spotify.
I didn't realize how methodical you have to be when it comes to releasing songs on certain platforms. I didn't know that. So are the two new songs, Waste and Cherry, are those just sort of for fun, or as you said before, you're just kind of testing the waters, or both?
Kind of both. I had to get some stuff off my chest, so I felt like I just needed to hurry up and release it. I don't have the time to really, you know, perfect a rollout like how I want to, but I still, like I said, I'm probably going to do some type of press for these two songs. I didn't want to really make the patience for, you know, when you put songs out through like DistroKid and TuneCore, it's not going to immediately go up live. It's going to take a process for the song to get cleared. You're going to have to do the artwork and all of this other stuff to make sure that it takes almost maybe like 48 hours for certain platforms for the song to actually get cleared. With SoundCloud, like that's just going up right after I hit upload.
I feel like I just took a crash course on music marketing from you. So
thank you. I'm glad you did.
yeah, seriously, this is something that I'm sure that, you know, the people who are going to listen, like that's something that they need to know. And it sounds like you're very knowledgeable on the subject. So hey, I appreciate anything that you're saying right now. I'm just happy to be interviewing you in the first place. Lastly, where can people find you and your music, and what social media platforms can we find you on?
Everything is La.Breadwinner. La.Breadwinner. And Twitter is La.Breadwinner35. But everything is La.Breadwinner. Just, you could Google me.
By the time this podcast comes out, these two songs will already be out. And, you know, and we should also listen to you on Spotify, on SoundCloud, and especially your new song, VVS.
Definitely check out VVS.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to talk to me, to teach me so much.
It was my pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I can't wait to hear your new music.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.